To another episode of Construction Tech Talk. Let's go. We got another innovator in the contracting world, Tim Brown, CEO and founder of Hook Agency.
Yeah.
Timmy boy, what made you fall in love with the trades? You know, you're one of those guys that a flagship, always trying to move the industry forward. I see you on roofs. I see you working HVAC. I see you having your own underlayment, neon, Hook Agency underlayment.
Bright ass underlayment. Google that. So what's kind of been part of that is it's very fun. I'm like one of those people that kind of is between the like theoretical, like SEO, getting found on Google side of things, and then also I like the physicality of stuff. Like that's why we like having our own underlayment, and we like kind of getting down in the trenches in our marketing efforts to at least understand our clients and try to get what the value is that's being provided at a nuts and bolts level. I like the physicality of it. And like sometimes the marketing stuff feels theoretical and out here and honestly, it feels like bullshit sometimes. Like, and I get that that's what people get frustrated about with marketing too. I think marketing is good. I think it's positive to get the word out about your products and services, but it's boring if you do it in such a way that doesn't showcase the actual value. And the actual value is putting on motherfucking roofs, installing HVAC units, servicing products, fixing toilets, like all these things that like we are all incredibly grateful for every day. If we aren't, we should be. We have a roof over our head. We can flush a toilet and not, fill up the room, and that we can stay hot and cold when we want to. These are things that like, I like being connected to that as much as I can, even though what I do is kind of like, I'm a dirty marketer at the end of the day.
100%. You're a little nerd behind the computer, man.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So what, I've obviously been in the same world that you are in and really, dominating, honestly, you're doing a great job. So proud of you guys at Hook.
Appreciate it.
But if someone's like, you know what, you hear this all the time, marketing agencies suck. They don't do what they say they're going to do. They're a waste of money. You hear this stuff over and over and over and over. Is that a fair statement? And, dealing with that kind of competitive environment, what's that been like for Hook to almost maybe stand out in a way?
Yeah, and particularly that's the vibe in the trades. So there's particularly roofing where we've spent a lot of time. We have 80 plus clients. That vibe is really common, and it does make it so it's a little bit more obvious if you're trying to be really ethical and trying to be very transparent. It does. I hope it makes us stick out like a sore thumb. It's not easy though. Like this job is, and no one wants to hear this. That does that job wants to hear about how our job is hard. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time there, but like in a nutshell, creating leads for clients with more than one client, right? With more than one client at scale, trying to figure out what activities actually drive the leads and making sure that we're doing those activities in a substantive way is somewhat difficult. And that's why it's really easy to, like, you hear a lot of people yelling scammer, this, that, all the other things. And there are a lot of scammers, but then there's also some people trying their absolute best. And then
there are a lot of people trying, but it's not easy, like you're saying.
I would say 80% of these marketers out here are trying their absolute best. And like
100% agree with that.
Some of them, I think that the hard part is they sell ahead of them actually being able to do the work. It would do me no favors to talk any smack about any specific competitor, but I will say I've had somebody contact me and be like, hey, tell me how to do that SEO stuff. And then I look on their website and they're already like offering it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking and they're trying to get advice on how to do it and really actually don't understand how to do it. So you shouldn't be selling something that you haven't done before. That sounds like a crazy tip, right?
It is. No, I agree with you though. All majority of these marketers, they're doing their best. Just like a contractors who might not be living up to their clients' expectations, but they're most likely trying their best, right?
Yeah.
Now, what about being in the niche then? You niche into the trades. It seems like what, roofing, HVAC, that's kind of your guys' sweet spot.
Yes, absolutely. Roofing and HVAC, and those might feel like odd bedfellows. Who are these guys? What is this? Why is this a thing? Well, we like both these niches because it's an oh shit. They're both oh shit niches. Oh shit, I've got my AC is out. Oh shit, my roof is leaking. I love that. I like that they're high average ticket. They're both high average ticket. And we actually had a lot of different types of clients, and then we had better results in these niches with contractors. So like we just saw where we were getting better results, and then we slowly cut out the other ones. Now we still have some old clients. I have a dentist. I have a dentist that's been working with us. He hasn't talked to us for the past 4 years, but his graph is just up. He doesn't give a shit. It's just like he's just been getting more and more traffic. He hasn't talked to us in 4 years, which is wild. But
dude, I love. Hey, we actually had something similar. We had a client that we were working a variety of different services for, and just kind of grandfathered in, and it was a water slide manufacturer, the biggest one in America, right? And they just kept working with us, So all right, so let's say that an HVAC owner and a roofing owner walk into a bar together, right? What is those two worlds alike? What are they? Is the company similar? Is the personality similar? Is the vibe similar? Is the culture similar?
That's an amazing question. I really like it. I'm gonna go around a different way and answer it this way. They should walk into a bar together for sure, and they should refer each other a shit ton of business. So there's a lot of opportunity between those two niches, and honestly, the connections aren't there. In a lot of cases, for a lot of roofing companies out there, they're not talking to the HVAC company who is on roofs often, especially commercial roofs with damaged units. And also, they're up there servicing the unit on a twice a year basis or more. So you're talking about they own the customer's attention more. So roofers should talk to them for that reason. Now, HVAC guys should talk to the roofers for a reason, because as they find particularly hail damage and storm damage, they're also finding it on units. And the roofer doesn't know that they could add $12,000 to the claim and work with an HVAC company, but you could. And once again, when you're out there, there's other problems with the home. We want to own the home. We want to own the relationship with the homeowner and then refer out other home service businesses so that they'll do the same to us. So, but their vibes are similar in a couple ways. Like you talk about, like blue collar, salt of the earth, down to earth, cool, chill people. HVAC people tend to be a little bit more technical and a little bit more like, I think about indoor and outdoor cats and dogs. You know what I mean? Like I think like HVAC people tend to be a little bit more indoor. Roofers a little bit more outdoor, but they're both there's a crunchiness to them both. If we're real, we're gonna be real for a second. There's a crunchiness and there's a get me results. And I think honestly, that's both the hardest part, but it's also the biggest moat for an agency. If you get a good reputation, like if people try to run in and let's say compete with us or some of these other great marketing agencies out there that, are really doing a pretty good job. It's the hard part is that to create those relationships takes a long, long time. And then there is a high expectation. And it's like some of the fluffier stuff, like here, we got these impressions, we got this many, whatever, it's revenue. They're both very revenue focused. Differences, I think HVAC is they're a little bit more long-term with their marketing efforts. They're also, I think they like maybe it's just the way we've fallen into HVAC. Weirdly, we've gotten bigger companies quicker, and they happen to be. They like us because we're getting a ton of real deliverables done, and they have a long-term mindset. They also understand the market conditions a little bit. So like, for instance, this past summer, there's been a little bit lower demand, 20% less HVAC units shipped. And there's some obvious indicators like the Beacon layoffs recently and Home Depot saying 4% down or whatever, that their market conditions. And like the HVAC company came to us with those, like, we know the market conditions are such that it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but we really appreciate your help, because you need to be doing marketing, whether it's a down market or an up market. And I think just having somebody that understands the market and market conditions in these situations helps us understand, hey, if leads are costing a little bit more right now, why? Is it all the agency's fault, or are there market conditions that are creating a little bit of it's making it a little harder?
Do you notice when the conditions are down, that is there more companies coming to you looking for help and willing to invest, or more companies saying, I'm not going to invest because the conditions are down?
Yeah, what we've noticed right now is we have basically just the same amount of leads, but we have a lower close rate for whatever reason. We would guess that's, as you're dealing with homeowners that have apprehension to spend money there right now, we've got kind of a high like debt amount, credit card debt, and we have a low cash on hand amount
Very
from
high.
homeowners. Yeah. So you've got this inflection point, and I think that's reflected in the jumbo rate cut by the Fed that just happened. Like, it's kind of like, like we said there wasn't a recession. The Dow's at a high, but what is cash worth? And it's been worth less, and maybe that will resolve it. I'm hoping that all resolves itself. I'm not an economist, but we've found that people have apprehension to move forward. So close rate for us has gone down as close rate
Makes
for
sense.
I think, if I had to guess, I would say that close rate has been a lot harder this summer for roofing business owners and home service business owners.
I mean, it makes sense. It's just how humans are made, right? They're gonna, as soon as there's threats, they're gonna start safeguarding their finances. Not as easy to spend it. But what's interesting in business, though, during these slower times that might be a little bit more dangerous, a little bit slower, that's where you almost want to go full throttle, right? Where you want to, yeah, go ahead, take it, yeah.
Well, that Warren Buffett quote, right? When they're greedy, be careful. And when they're careful, be greedy. And that means because there's probably people pulling out, some money right now. And if they're pulling out of ads, if they're pulling out of whatever, then usually it opens up the field a little bit more. It's just the same reason why, like in Colorado, I know you're in Colorado, right?
Yeah.
In Colorado, you guys had that like dry spell for 4 years or something on storms. And like you saw roofing companies like that second or third year just like dropping. And
dude, it was bad. It was bad.
I'm not trying to be gleeful. I'm just saying, like, it is how it works. There's 100%. People dropping out of the game and creating opportunities so that if there is a little bit more surge of demand in the spring, and some of the little, it's honestly, it is some of those guys that make everything so cheap. Chuck in the truck, stand in the van.
That's been a big issue. That's been a big issue that I always hear, right? It doesn't matter what industry it is the chuck in the truck, right? Like, how do I compete against these guys during this time? Do you think that, branding, whether you're looking at, customer experience, website, sales presentation, social media, all that, do you think that can win enough jobs and not have to focus on price even during these times?
Well, I think we should all be looking at our pricing structure right now. I think that if this is real, if economic conditions force people to be more careful with their dollars, that you should come up with promotions, you should come up with better messaging around financing. I think it's not fake anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like we're all like, I feel like a year ago we were all like, maybe recession, and seems maybe, you know, I feel like it's a little bit more real now. I think people should consider that. However, you're going to need to do both. You know, like we're both going to need to consider our pricing, make sure it's at the right amount, especially if inflation cools fast, which I'm kind of predicting. Once again, not an economist, entertainment purposes only here. The other side of it, increasing value, you're going to have to increase value too. You're going to have to like figure out how to decrease price and increase value at the same time. And value, to me, brand is value, like a big piece of value. Because what we're saying with the brand is decreasing the likelihood of a very negative result that could impact you and your family. So if you trust a brand, if you look at 5-star reviews, if you appreciate how much track record a company has, your roofing company, your home service business, if you appreciate the track record and you create this picture and this story of track record, and that's through your logo, that's through your website, that's through your reviews, that's through your testimonial videos and all of your social proof all over the internet all the time, then you get the right to charge a little more and still get a decent close rate, ideally, because they understand that there's consequences to choosing the wrong company, and you have the most obvious not wrong company, you know, and that's the tough part. It's like, it's probably going to have to be both. We're probably going to have to like, in these moments where it feels a little tighter, people's pocketbooks are not out, you got to be the most trustworthy option. And you got to find a little bit of wiggle room in your price, a little bit of value to save them potentially. And it really does matter by market. You know, we talked about Denver having those 4 dry years, big deal, right? And other markets, it's not going to be like that. In some markets, and this is my last like economist light, is I've noticed as I travel around the country and go to different roofing companies that there's certain areas of the country that were tight last year, that were real. It was like a little hairy because it's usually at the bottom end, like when it's a little bit more poor or like low middle class areas of the country. Then all this happened for them last year. You know, we live in a metropolitan area with like Target corporate and some other corporations and a lot of like, it's just a decent cash flow city. So it's a little bit less obvious, but it probably will become more obvious if this is tightening up. And I'm not a doomsday guy. I really hope that most of this doesn't happen, but it's just some of these economic conditions that are real. And we're trying to be careful about, I think everyone was kind of creeping up their price this last few years. And I think that we're all going to have to look at that a little bit more like, what else can we do here? I think that that's real. And it's hard to talk about because, you know, I'm not a pricing psychology expert. However, I think you can feel that right now in almost everything you purchase, that it feels a little expensive and that maybe you're going to purchase less of those things if they are like that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, it's interesting because it's been a while since anybody's been confident or excited about the direction of the economy, right? Like, what is America really excited about? So I feel like we'll see how bad it gets, but, you know, fingers crossed for sure. But if I'm looking at this situation, like you said, financing, I'm definitely leaning into financing. For me, I've always been a kind of a stickler on lowering my price. I'm just not a big believer in it. It's never done anything good for me or my customers, right? Like, if you think you are premium, right, make sure that you're going to talk to the right potential customers, though, for sure, right? Because during these times, the rich get richer, right? So there are going to be some people who will continue to get wealthier throughout this situation. And if you can target them with video, branding, maybe an online shopping experience almost, right? High-end communication, giving them options and really separating yourself in your presentation, case studies, you kind of name it. I think you can still pull it off. But what do you think?
No,
You don't think so?
Ultimately, no, we're the high priced option for a lot of cases. Like I'm still always focused on how can I make it better versus how can I lower the price. Like my plan is not to lower our price. My plan, I'm just saying we don't want to be so gung-ho about that as we were a few years ago. Like that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at emotionally. I am planning on increasing the service. Like that's my plan. More needs to be done within that amount, right? So like I'm planning on increasing the quality of the service. I'm always looking at that.
I prefer that. Like, I like that.
Yeah, perceived value. We've always been on that high side, and that does mean our close rate is a little lower. So there's a back and forth there where you got to be careful. Like you shouldn't, because if you lower your price, like what are you cutting? What deliverables are you cutting? What
your
specific
profits?
do you get rid of the person that answers the phone, whenever, so like you got to watch that because that is an endless trip to the bottom, right? Like it doesn't go, you'd be surprised because there'll be somebody out there that's like, well, in my market, the average roof is $8,000. Let's just say one of those like cheap markets. And then they're like, you know what I'm going to do for a second? I saw somebody post this online on a Facebook thing recently, and they said, for the rest of the year, I'm doing my stuff at like 150 or 200 a square or something like that, like some stupid price. And they're just like, I'm going to choke you out of the market. They're talking about their competitor that they're frustrated with because they beat them on one bid or something. And I was like, you don't understand how low that goes. Like if you're really running to the bottom, like it goes past where you think it should. Promise 100%. You. And it means you're dead. Your business is dead because you can't actually operate a business at that level. Like that's not a real business. Your city, that ends with you putting on every roof by yourself. And that's fine. That's fine. There's a beauty to that. But if you want to continue growing your company, like, yeah, you can't just sit there, keep subtracting to try to beat people. And you should, one obvious way is like, what percentage is your close rate? If it's over 60%, you're probably priced too low.
I agree with that. Well, I wanted to ask you, as we're on this topic then, when you're looking at, obviously roofing, there's insurance work a lot on markets. So that can do somewhat of a recession proofing in a way if you get the storms, right? But with HVAC, obviously you're going to have service work, everything like that. I'm guessing new installs probably go down. But does the service work also kind of help that component during these times?
Yeah, I think anybody, both in roofing and HVAC, that's willing to do repairs and willing to service things always has a job. In HVAC, we see some of the softening of the economic factors affecting them by their getting rid of comfort advisors who are pure salespeople, and they're bringing in more people that can do light repairs at least, and calling them selling technicians. And I think roofers could take a little bit of a note from that. Could you get roofing salespeople that could do light repairs at least? There's an opportunity for companies. You've seen this, I bet, Nick. Like if you're willing to do repairs, willing to do repairs, you get way more leads anyways, because you go out to that lead, you find out actually it should be a replacement. You talk to the insurance company, you have them talk to the insurance company, etc. Same here, right? Where the HVAC, it's like, if you can't do even light repairs, like where is your value? Like in roofing salespeople. And if there is something that changes, because everyone gets really scared about the next few years for insurance work, I don't really think it has to change that much. I think it needs to change that people need to be able to do repairs. Like how crazy is that? It's not that crazy. I asked somebody, they're like, hey, I would really like to consult with you about Google ads. And I said, hey, by the way, I just forget, do you have like a good discipline for repairs at your company? Because that makes the lead cost go down substantially if you're willing to do repairs. Google will screw you if you take out all those keywords. Like, and it's because it's a lot of volume. It's a lot of volume. There's you should know how to flip those into replacements, and I think it should really be a hard or. It should be a hard or. You should know how to do repairs if you're a roofing company. Hot take.
I mean, that's a great golden nugget right there, because in all honesty, if I was going to start a trades company that was capable of providing service, repair, maintenance, all that kind of stuff, I would maybe just start the company just doing that and build a huge database of customers, right? And maybe I would get them into some kind of program where it's monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever it is, right? For X amount, get them used to paying me, right? Give them some kind of discount that if they go with us, they get XYZ, you know what I mean? So that's the way I would do it. And then, because I think that's a huge cheat code, and they get them all to love you, right?
Oh yeah.
And then refer you business.
Small purchases is crazy. Like, you could get a 5-star review. You could get referrals from, like, if you did gutter cleanings, for instance, and I've talked to roofers that's how they started. They just started by going and doing $100 gutter cleanings, door knocking for gutter cleanings, like provide value for $100. And then you can get up on that roof. Like, I mean, there's so many ways to just, like, if you are willing to do hustle and a little bit more, like, provide value up front for low cost, it's crazy. It does help a lot with reputation. So I agree. That would be a great way to get into the market and also establish reputation. 100%.
So I'll kind of make that checklist, right? So basically you go some kind of promo, repair, maintenance, something cheap, right? Get yourself in the door, get them to love you, get a review. Maybe if you're getting a little crazy with it, even a video testimonial, ask for a referral, boom. And then put them in your system, right? Collect all their data, put them in your system. Game over.
By the way, homeowner, as just a noob homeowner perspective, I would love my gutters cleaned right now. And like, you think it might not matter or something like that, but like $100, yeah, I'm taking that all day. Maybe it's 200 nowadays. I don't know, but like, give me that. No,
but hey, Tim, what if I also told you, hey, not only do I clean your gutters, but I do a free inspection twice a year. Repairs, you know what, Tim, you get 30% off. And on the replacements, we also give you some kind of discount offer as well. Would you like that, Tim?
I would love that.
Yeah. Boom, right? I love it, dude.
Yeah, anything that we can do. I mean, like, even just starting this as a brainstorm for people watching this, like, what could you do that could get you back in front of the homeowner and kind of more own the homeowner? One thing that HVAC is doing that roofing could do better is the concept of like a database and following up with that database via text and email. Like, it's not the last time this person's probably going to do their roof if they're under 50, 60, like probably going to have to do the roof again. And then anything else on the exteriors. And, if you have repairs too, like, what is it? How long is it going to be until they need a full roof replacement? But basically that's very common in HVAC and plumbing, and they're really good at it. And they use something called Chirp for that. And there's other services like that are like database activation tools. And I just believe in those database activation tools for any trade, really.
100%, dude. I agree with you there. Roofing's a tough one though when it comes to like repeat business, like you're saying. But that's why I'm like, I forgot what trade it was, but I saw some video online recently that someone did something like what we were talking about, where that membership program, right? Because if you do something like that and you just do it as a number play where it's like, hey, you're going to lock these customers in, but they're also going to pay you every year. Let's say we did $499, so we'll just do 500. Let's say I could get 1,000 people sometime on that. I could get $500,000 a year on something like that, right? I bet you they could get 1,000 people, right? So any kind of recurring revenue is always something interesting to think about.
One other thing to think about with a follow-up tool like that, whether you use Chirp or you work with Nick on automations or anything else that you can do in your business, you should have something like that. I think ideally is marketing for referrals. and any of these other little options that you've got, like as service, if you have little services, if you did Christmas lights and you had the 10,000 people in your database that you'd either had as a lead or, whatnot in the last 10 years, like think about how hitting them for Christmas lights. Think about anything else that you got. Think about saying, hey, by the way, remember us when someone asks about a roofer, please refer us. Like, what about that idea? I think there's I think that's one of my, we talk about doing social media yourself. We don't do social media services or anything like that. But like one thing I think people could do a lot better is like be a little bit more focused on getting referrals from people that see your post. Because what's the likelihood that this person that's looking at your Facebook post right now, where you put your web address and your phone number, is ready to call? Stop making every post just your email and your phone number or whatever. But I'm looking at it, and also put the link in the comments. That's better for the algorithm. But if you had a message that was like, if somebody needs their roof, remember, here's how you clean your gutters. And if somebody needs a roof, remember that we actually really care about this community. We support local charities and we have 500 5-star reviews or whatever. Think about how much further that would go, because that person is much more likely to know somebody in the next few months that may need a roof.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, it's the activation of people that you want to try to create. And that's what brand is supposed to do. It's supposed to activate more people to share the information. And then one other tip for that, because I think you should be marketing for referrals on social media. I think you, the person watching this, should be marketing for referrals on social media. Word of mouth, but with digital as an amplifier.
I'm going to ask you more about it later too.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you more about it on the referral. I want to go deeper on that.
You also need to simplify your message down to a reproducible soundbite. So that means slogan, hook, for instance, ours is hook better leads with a Google specialized team that cares. But we also have, consistent, aggressive, and what is it? Consistent, custom, and aggressive are our three different, not better, because no one can hear better. They can only hear a difference. What's your real difference? Because I can't hear better because everyone says they're better. And then really it's kind of finding a way to boil key things down. So we like to do a message every single year, like 1 or 2 times a year we have a key message. And right now ours is that we're get shit done in the trenches, digital marketing. We actually get out in the field to understand our clients better, and we get real shit done on their marketing. And that message, hopefully it's simple enough. The in the trenches thing. We're an in the trenches company that we can put it visually up on our backdrop at trade shows. We can put it up on our website, new website in the next week, a couple weeks, by the way. And then we can say it over and over again on social media. So you simplify it down and then you repeat yourself in 5-10 different mediums so that there's a sticky enough idea and message that will actually stay in people's brains and that people referring can kind of say it back. That's what you kind of want. You want, if you could create a message that's simple enough that people can say it back to others.
I mean, so what do you think? I'm going to pick your brain right here. I want some free advice because I got you. So, with Better Boss, dude, I've gone back and forth with slogans, and it's almost different every time because I'm not sold on anything yet, right? You know how it is. It's a process at the beginning. Something about making the technology partner, about making the trades easy. I've thought about, you mentioned don't say better, but my name is Better Boss. So do I use adjectives like better job? No. I know. I'm not offended at all, but could I use something where it's like better job costing, better, better project management and stuff like that because it goes with the brand? Or is that's not a good direction? And you can be honest with me, man, because I have no idea at this point yet, right? How it starts to kind of grow and kind of come to life.
Tell me like the key functions of the delivery of the service. They help you do what?
So what Better Boss does?
Yep.
So with Better Boss, we want to improve. So that we want to improve their sales and estimating process, their job cutting process, management, communication, and then subcontractor management. So those are like the 5 components of the better
And what
cost
would you say
blueprint.
the difference is between you and other options out there? Like, just to place it real quick, what does it smell? What other companies compete with you on this?
It's interesting because when I started an agency, I felt like there's other people I could try to mock that I kind of admired a little bit, but with this, it was so. I just didn't have a lot to kind of mimic it from, you know what I mean? Because I knew this was a problem in the space. So I really haven't been keeping track too much of whatever the competition is doing, right? Because 70% of these implementations, they fail, right? Because people just don't know how to use technology, whether it is the time, the knowledge, whatever it might be, it's complicated, right? But if you can fix these areas, dude, you can remove so much stress. Profitability can go up. You can make better decisions. It's like,
Yeah, I think so where you say that, let's talk about that, because what I'm trying to do with any positioning messaging, I'm always trying to simplify it down to the most, the benefit, to the customer. So
for example, we saved a client 52 days a year because they were doing reporting every single Monday, right? We were able to
time.
Time's huge one.
Improving profitability.
Yeah, those are the two big ones. Efficiency's
Save
up
time,
to
improve profitability. I think that and then what would you say the problem is that you're solving? More overarching problem.
I would say usually the business owner is pretty stressed out from the growth and they can't manage how to kind of step into that next step of the business. So and then profits.
Then stressed out and inefficient. Literally, you probably have to write it out, and I'm sure you've already done this, but as a benefit to the audience and maybe just another brain on this, you're a smart dude, Nick. So I'm not saying I'm going to say anything that's going to blow your mind in a short period, but if we're stressed out and inefficient, save time and improve profit. And we're going to write it out bad first, right? This is
right. But that's what I want to say in a creative way, though, basically.
Save time and improve profitability. And then we're going to and then we have to put a difference. So the difference, what is the main difference between you and the other options? And that's why it does pay to, we don't like to negatively talk about our competitors all, but you do need to know their offerings. You need to study them and you need to figure out what is the actual difference between me and these three other companies that people are actually considering for, let's say, job costing and what did you say a few other ones were?
Yeah, sales and estimating. Right. So just, yeah. But, it's interesting when you talk about the competition, though. I mean, and we can talk about contractors. How much should they be looking at their competition and analyzing the difference rather than just focusing on themselves and improving themselves in their own way?
I think the immature companies at the beginning will focus on their competitors far too much. And I have been an immature company. However, as time goes on, you recognize game. You stop focusing on bad companies. You start the worst part about focusing on those naughty companies all the time, because there's naughty companies in every industry and every market, right? Naughty. Oh, and they think you think you're superior. You think people care. They already all know that. They already think all contractors are scammers. Sorry, guys. And they already think agencies are all shit. So the more you focus on that, you're just confirming their preconceptions, and you're getting worse because you're using them as an excuse not to improve your process. So how could you focus on the good guys? Maybe you feel a little obsolete sometimes. Maybe you feel a little, oh man, there are some other great companies out there, right? Wow, it hurts to look at them a lot, but I'm also seeing this place and this place and this place where we're better. We're actually better. And here's how. I think you have to answer that here's how question. And that's what the only reason you should stay paying attention to your competitors. You shouldn't stop. You should stop, saying this company is bad, and this is why. Stop doing that. It makes you look low end as hell.
I hate that stuff.
But you should use it to say we are faster. We are more professional. We are the nicest company you'll meet, or whatever your difference is. What is your difference than those three companies that are actually good? And maybe you can like take a little note from some of those bad companies out there and say, we're much more, but the problem is then you're not saying they leave hundreds of nails in the driveway. We leave too, it's hard to, like you have to figure out what you're the absolute best at.
I think a good way for that. So your unique selling proposition, what makes you different is, it's a process. And so I know a lot of you guys wouldn't do something like this because it is work, but having some kind of general survey. I know we asked for the reviews, but if you did have something that graded certain aspects or comments, whatever it might be, you could probably start to create some kind of report that's going to give you the answers you need. And
you can get it from Google reviews too. Like if you look at Google reviews,
true.
You've got
that's much easier too.
Some kind of obvious thing that keeps popping up. Like this
give
person
you like
says,
options, right?
This
like
person says about Better Boss. They say that I'm looking there. They'll help you eliminate bottlenecks. They help eliminate bottlenecks. That's an interesting way to say it. There's restructured workflows. I'm looking at your other reviews. Like what else we got? Like you basically figuring out what the things are that people are saying that are common, that are like the basic idea keeps repeating itself. That's what you want to figure out. What idea keeps repeating itself? And in that you'll find let's even say it back to them how they're saying it. So if I'm looking at reviews right now, like, streamlining, that's a great word. Streamlining and eliminating bottlenecks. Boosted our profitability, smoother and more efficient. Streamlining, smoother. I'm starting to see like a theme here, right? With why Better Boss is better, and streamlining and making smooth. So like we start to like, how can we say that in kind of a punchy, quick, friendly way that people will like, where you gotta get smooth. Like what I would say is helps you get smoother. And then you could do like a whole like Fonzie bit with he wasn't smooth before. Now he's smooth. Now he comes into the office.
Oh yeah. And dude, it's funny. I've been Austin, right? Roofer TikTok. I've been working with him on some things. And dude, I'll let him rant sometimes and just talk about like a content idea. And like, he makes it sound so freaking simple, dude. Right. Like he makes it seem where it's so kindergarten. And then I still sometimes just don't pick up on the patterns of his direction. And then you'll go get 10 million views. And I'm like, wow, it really is an amazing skill set on that. But, but yeah, I mean, with Better Boss, it's basically these guys, a lot of these companies, whether it's the leadership or, key people in different departments, usually they have a vision of what they want their operations to look like, but they can't figure out the tech to make it happen. Right. Yeah. So it's like, once they give it to me, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to figure it out. I'm like, I might not know yet on that, but I'll make sure we figure it out. Right. So it's trying to make that vision, what it could like operationally look like, and actually make it happen. Right. But
and you're not selling like you guys aren't selling roofs. You're selling the mushroom that makes them into the better person. Have you ever seen that meme with the little Mario and then the big Mario? You're selling the bigger Mario. You're selling the person that's more proud of their home. You're selling their improved perception of themselves, and they're them feeling safer now that their roof is no longer leaking or whatever it happens to be. And I'd say the same with you. Like, I love the idea that the name is, I talk shit about the word better, but I like the idea that you're selling them an improved version of themselves. Right. And I think, continuing down that line, I think the smooth idea and streamline, I think those are two really good words for you in positioning. And I think then you can say your services, but a slogan doesn't have to say the services.
And dude, it's funny.
Yeah. Sorry.
So it's just funny because you mentioned the name. So I do, this concept I've kind of had for probably 10 years of a company kind of like this, but it's just, this was the time to do it. And basically I needed to open up a business account. We have a dog named Boss, and Boom. Better Boss. So shout out to Mr. Boss out there for the naming of the company. But well, Tim, hey man, hey, it's been a pleasure, man. But do you have kind of any golden nuggets, words of wisdom, new ideas, whatever to kind of close it out with?
Sure. Not new, but I'm going to try to solidify what I was trying to say here, which is I think it's worth it. I think this will be worth it that you listen to this podcast if you simplify your message down to some really core ideas where it's positioning you as different than your competitors, and continually every single week put out something in different formats that kind of reminds people that that's your difference. And you should pull it from your Google reviews and key messaging things that you're seeing customers say, and maybe even use the exact words that they say.
I love that. I actually have a fortune cookie. I mentioned it a few times. Genius is taking the complicated and simplifying it, right? So it's so complicated what you guys do. Same thing with me. When I was starting this new company, I had a huge slide deck. It was massive. Now I probably show 4 slides every time that I talk to a prospect, right? So the more you can simplify it, because there's a lot of lack of clarity for someone who might be purchasing a roof, right? So simplify, educate, right? Condense it. Less is more. Tim, I appreciate you, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. And what's the best way to get a hold of you guys? I'll make sure I put it into the description, everything like that. But
yes, hit us up at hookagency.com and get a short intro call scheduled. And we'll talk to you about our SEO, PPC, and website services to help you get more leads. We're for growth mode roofing and home service businesses. So we'd love to chat with you if you're kind of going from that like 3 million to 15 million. That range is kind of our sweet spot. We do work with some bigger companies like Monarch Roofing and Indy Roofs and Trust Roofing down in Florida. And I love working with bigger companies too, but a lot of our clients are in that $3 to $15 million range in growth mode.
Yeah. Hey, you guys got to hit them up, right? I mean, if you're interested in SEO, if you're interested in online presence, maybe website, whatever it might be, right? They're going to be the best in the biz when it comes to the trades and the contracting world, right? I'm telling you, at least hit them up. If you look at the reviews, 193 reviews, 4.9 stars, right? Best in the biz. So make sure you're hitting up Tim and the team at Hook Agency. All right, thanks, Tim.
Yes, sir.